And let me just let me go back and talk a little bit about the house too.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's hear
So again, everyone had experiences. Every single person had experiences at that house, and it was always dark experiences, right? I mean, it wasn't like, oh, grandma's coming to visit. It was always like you felt like you were being attacked. I mean, there was never a point. I mean, you'd see things move. You'd see, shadows all the time going on.
Oh my God.
It always felt creepy. When I would sleep there at night, man, so it was a bungalow, right? So these are the type of houses that have the pitch roofs where there's like the little closets in the wall, you know what I mean? That's like little tiny cutouts, almost like triangles on the side. So first off, you'd be sleeping there and you would always hear stuff knocking inside the closets. Like, like right next to your bed, you'd hear stuff knocking.
What the hell?
Constant,
Like
all night
knocking,
long.
like.
Oh yeah, knocking, or scratching on the walls. I mean, it was like all night long.
Shit.
It was terrible. And as a matter of fact, Rodney, the guy I told you about earlier, that the gargoyle stance, sleeping guy, he actually at one point ran away and was hiding out in the closets. He would sleep in the closets so that no one would know he was there because he didn't want to go home. And he literally said he woke up one night and there was a face right on him, like a white glowing face right over the top of him inside this closet. And he said he literally left and went back home.
Golly, you want me to scream like a little girl? That's how you get me to scream like a little girl.
Like, so anyway, so go ahead.
Do you remember, just because you said scratching and stuff, do you remember when you said, and I remember this too, me telling you when I was a kid that I heard scratching in the closet? Like, my wall was my sister's closet. So here's my wall, and then on the other side of the wall is inside of the closet of my sister's room. And I would be like laying down at night, and I would hear like scratches in the closet.
Oh,
like
God.
when I have to ask, just because this is not something I've personally ever really experienced in my life, but so when you're hearing scratches, is it like a slow or is it like a
weirdly
no,
enough,
it's just
and I don't mean to say like a rat no I mean like, is it like something like heavily scratching on, or something that's just like making little marks, marks
heavy
like. Okay.
Yeah, and weirdly enough,
like
I will say one night
constant.
you came and got, I don't know if you remember this, one night, I don't know how old you were, but you came and got us, and we were kind of like, yeah, whatever, Right. And I remember I heard scratching too. And, I was just like, oh, it's nothing, just go to sleep.
Well, because you're the dad. Like, don't make your son even more freaked out.
Locking your door and shit in your bedroom.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, if they're going to take him, take him.
That's fucked.
Take him.
That's so fucked.
If there was a bear chasing you both, you'd be tripping him.
Yeah,
get it first.
Oh, shit. That's
just go
funny.
back to sleep, hon. You'll be fine.
Yeah. I don't hear anything.
Maybe a demon on the other side.
Oh,
just
my
a demon in your closet.
That's
You'll be all right,
man.
But I really thought that maybe it was like a squirrel in the wall or something. I swear to God.
Oh my God, that's even worse though. To me, a squirrel's horrible, man.
That wasn't a squirrel.
But squirrels aren't up at night, right?
Yeah, and they're not in the middle of a wall. Yeah,
like in the closet wall. It's like an outside wall.
You'd be hearing it way more consistently if it was in the wall. They're just like, ah!
Well, again, you start to justify everything, right? Like you try to, like, oh, well, it must not have been that,
That's what I do. That's what I do at my house when I see shit.
You just kind of you go through your little process of like, oh, the pipes were leaky or this or that. You always just kind of find an explanation.
Yeah,
for
and
it.
I've been through a lot of paranormal my whole life, really, going back to when I was younger. And I could tell a story about this in a little bit if you guys want to, but yeah, even the most crazy paranormal experiences, a day or two later, you start really questioning, like, is that possible? And
I know, right?
There has to be a reasonable, thing that went on.
I find with myself is that when there's something that an experience or something that is leaves you with question, you search for an answer, and you can convince yourself to believe any answer is true over time.
Here's the thing though, and like just to throw a bone in all that, like like every time you always search for an answer though, you ever notice that like these sort of phenomenons, if you will, they always sort of happen similarly. Like that scratching that you guys are talking about, it's not just unique to you. That's unique. That's other people experience that. You know what I mean? These are things that everyone sort of endures at some level or another. So it's like when you're searching for that answer, you're like, oh shit, other people have dealt with this too, and there was no answer that they found, and they've been dealing for 10 years.
That's
shit,
creepy.
you know, oh my god, like talk about a more freak out version, because especially when you're experiencing something and you don't know how to explain it, you're trying to look for answers, and the answers are even worse than you thought.
Yeah. When people corroborate, it's almost worse. But going back to the house, two quick stories. Number one, and these came from Nancy, George's mom, after he passed away, because we spent the couple weeks after George died, I spent a lot of time at his house with his family, just to feel like we were all grieving pretty bad, right?
Right. Of
course. You can't just walk away.
Yeah. So I felt comfort being there, especially with his mom. And so she told me a story of when they first moved into that house, that much like all of us, have. Again, I told you about these closets, right?
Right.
Well, I guess when they first moved in, there weren't closets there. There were just walls there. And then ultimately they opened up the walls to make them into storage, because originally there was no bedrooms upstairs. It was just a upstairs loft. All over. And I'll tell you a story about that upstairs loft in a second. But so when they decided they were going to make it into bedrooms up there and expand, they opened up those walls. Well, anyways, before this, when they had first moved in, things like silverware and socks and stuff like that would disappear, just like always. We talk about it at our house, like how many freaking spoons have we lost?
Like it literally happens all the time.
Yeah. But when they opened up the walls, all the stuff was inside the wall.
Like everything that's been missing.
Yeah, the spoons and socks and a whole bunch of stuff was
so
inside
it's not
the wall.
just like something was just like, oh, it just maybe got in the washer or something like that. Like this shit legit went missing and went somewhere.
Dude, that's fucking creepy.
Honestly though, what if that happens to us and we just don't know it because we don't bust down our walls?
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Dude, don't even. You're freaking me out.
You know what I mean? Because
because your dad's connected to him, man.
Dude, he
was your boy.
So freaky.
Literally all these years later, 30 something years later, he still scares me. It's still, still like, as a matter of fact, didn't someone just say, oh, we should get a medium so you can connect with it? And I'm like, no.
My God, Brian, you have to.
No.
Dude.
No.
Oh, my.
No,
I don't know, though. I don't know.
Because you know what? I've watched enough movies at this point in time to know that type of thing is going to be exactly how the end of the world happens.
Dude, he said that when he was in human form, he said that he was going to kill him and nobody would know. He would kill him.
Right? If he was a spirit, there's no stopping him.
Yeah, exactly, dude. No, I'm good.
Dude,
that's crazy.
So, but then again,
scaring me.
Again, before they put the bedrooms up there, he had an uncle named Uncle Kenny, who, ironically enough, passed away about a month before.
Oh, Kenny died.
Yeah,
and he was at the cemetery as well.
Kenny. Yeah, he was at the cemetery.
They were all together.
They were together, and Kenny was a big burly biker. I'm talking like he's the guy that you don't want to mess with type of biker.
Weirdly enough, Kenny
guy.
is a very common name for bikers.
Yeah. So, anyways, I guess at some point he had asked if he could stay in their attic, because he was down on his luck or whatever, and he was like, hey, and they're like, yeah, sure, no problem. So he moved in. He's a big guy, so I guess he had some weights and stuff like that. Well, they worked opposite shifts, where basically he was sleeping when they were at work and vice versa, whatever. So I guess whatever. Nancy had told me a couple weeks had went by, and she ran into him at the grocery store, and she said, Kenny, I love you, and you're welcome to stay here as much as you want, but please don't work out when we're sleeping, because you've been keeping me awake at night banging stuff around. And he goes, I didn't want to tell you this. He goes, I moved out 2 weeks ago because I woke up in the middle of the night and shit was flying around in my room. He goes, I fucking packed my clothes and got the fuck out of there. He goes, I didn't want to tell you because I thought you guys would think I was crazy.
What?
What the fuck, man?
How crazy.
How is somebody not called a priest or some shit? Jesus Christ.
But I'm with Kenny, man. Fuck. If I see one little fucking thing flying around, I'm getting the hell out. Yeah. I'm questioning my mental health first.
I need Father McDaniel down here to fucking sit there and say something, man. Shit.
Isn't it?
Holy fuck.
Whoa. It's so weird, because there's a word for that. The poltergeist is what that is called.
No, it is exactly what that is.
Oh my God.
And it's
holy shit.
We only see it in movies, and then when you hear it through a story, it feels different because it's it's reality.
Yeah.
It's not a
reality.
movie.
Yeah.
So it just leaves you with a lot of questions, you know? You're just like, whoa, what the fuck
Dude,
is
but
that?
when you kind of open up that book, though, and you start looking into it, like, it is crazy the stuff that's out there. And like...
Doesn't it feels...
I don't know.
Better when you just
don't
leave it alone.
Leave it alone. I'll watch the Teletubbies instead. No, but it's like when that stuff out in Nevada, like with that black magic stuff, like I seen shit. Like you said, I don't know if this guy was a magician or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like this is a whole thing that not a lot of people know about, not a lot of people study, and you can see why.
Well, the people that do study and do all that, they're not taken seriously in the scientific
No,
community.
they're not. No, they're not. No, they are not at all. You would think they're... I thought he was
crazy.
I thought he was a kook at first. I'm like, this guy's crazy.
Like, honestly, if you really think about it, like,
science.
why? Yeah, it is a level of science. It, like, to some places they're respected, and some places they're not, and it's so crazy. You know what I mean? Like,
that is true, because you would think that scientists would want a scientific explanation rather than just
with everything, with every part of our lives, there is a scientific explanation, because what is science? Science is life. Yeah. That is what.
But
what
there's
everything
no
is
way
around us.
we just die and that's it. There's effing spirits and shit like that, man. I'm telling, like, I don't know that for a fact, obviously, but the evidence I've seen, it's like, holy shit.
There's certainly something. I mean, energy.
Right?
Energy
You don't just die
energy,
and that's it.
Energy
man.
goes somewhere. Energy is.
Yeah.
energy.
Right. Yeah.